The world's biggest food company, Nestlé, has been accused of failing to carry out basic checks on its cocoa supply chain, where child labour and abuse are widespread. The Fair Labour Association, who were hired by Nestlé, tracked the journey of cocoa from the poorest and most remote farms to the exporters who sold directly to Nestlé. The company says it will carry out the association's recommendations. Our World Affairs correspondent Humphrey Hawksley reports.
For years, this has been a sad but familiar scene in the Ivory Coast. Children hack at pods of cocoa for the chocolate companies, in an industry worth more than £60 billion a year. Last November, they told me they barely got paid, and untreated machete injuries are common. Many children are separated from their families and work far away from home.
Human trafficking is the supply of human beings for prostitution, sweatshop labor, street begging, domestic work, marriage, adoption, construction, armed conflicts, and in this case, agricultural work. With 7% of Nestlé's farms on the Ivory Coast having child laborers, a total of 24 of those children were found to be family workers. These family workers are unable to attend school because they need to work alongside their parents and siblings on the farms. These children are working in hazardous conditions and carry out dangerous activities, including the use of machinery, weapons such as machetes, and transporting heavy loads. During a lawsuit in 2006, a Nestlé spokesperson spoke out and said, "To date, we have identified 3,933 children who are working on family farms. Around only 10% of these children were actually surveyed. And these children who were involved in the hazardous tasks classified as child labor, we have included only half of them in our child labor monitoring system, which includes providing school kits, obtaining birth certificates, and developing income-generating activities for families of 312 identified children."
Due to the exposure of those companies, it attracts more attention from the public about child labor. And then the public found that there's a need to improve this situation. So here are some advices. To begin with, the international organizations can develop a system or a program which can provide children who come from poor families with qualified, universal, and free education. And then the federal or national governments can amend their laws or regulations or policies about child labor very strictly. What's more, as individuals, we can try to buy more fair trade goods, if possible. And even we can advocate other people to do so.
Nestlé has had issues with having child labor throughout their supply chains for more than 10 years. They have been using children under the age of 15 to work on their cocoa plantations located in the Ivory Coast, and have also used forced labor in their seafood production facilities located in Thailand. Even though it states on their supplier code that these types of labor are prohibited, it continues to happen, and they have put little effort into stopping it.
The court document allegations include kidnapping, beatings, and whippings of the workers, who were then forced to work 14-hour-long days. At the end of the day, workers were sent back to cells with no windows and dark, musty rooms. The case is still pending, but to this day, child slavery is an issue that needs to be resolved.